All right, let's go. You are looking right now at a live view of my crypto profits in real time. I actually just want to thank all of you who continue to support whatever this is that I do here for about 10 minutes on Mondays and Thursdays. And for anyone who is new, you may just want to take a few seconds to get acquainted with the channel rules. It's definitely been real hard waking up each morning and immediately being in a bad mood as you open your crypto portfolio. However, it pales in comparison to the alternative.
Oh no.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You think sitting in the content?
It isn't here on television. Mike, look at her. No.
Obviously, everyone wants to know when prices will start to go back up, and
That's a good question.
so we'll get to all the target price levels here in just a minute, but so much has happened this week. A few women got sent into space.
The moon. You guys, I have to tell you, look at the moon.
One woman is getting sent to jail.
Enforce the rule of law.
Stop, put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back. Get against the wall.
This guy is spending $250,000 on private jets in his fight against oligarchy. Governor Photo-Op wants $2.8 billion to help provide healthcare to people here illegally. And this cuck traveled all the way to El Salvador in the hopes of smuggling a criminal back into the United States.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you can release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into it.
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people.
And they said
we
that
have to answer
it must
this
be
question. Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that?
What's illegal?
Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility.
At this point, I think it's fair to ask,
who do you think is the current leader of the Democratic Party?
I think AOC. I think she should be, at least.
Would you like to see her run for president in 2028?
I would love to see her run for president in 2028.
What do you think is the best policy AOC has had passed?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school, just like their neighbors, and come back to a real home. A supervised home, right in the neighborhood, where they belong.
I'm pretty sure that Alexandria Occasional Cortex will be remembered for one thing, and it's not being president. So while things seem a little uncertain right now, I can't even figure out why Marilyn Manson looks like Nicolas Cage dressed as Marilyn Manson. And maybe you're wondering if this whole thing is gonna work out. Personally, this is exactly what I voted for. And once J-Powell caves and decides to turn the printers back on, we will see that not all heroes wear capes. So there are definitely a lot of questions.
Where's JD?
Some of these questions are really important, and I know you come to this channel for better answers. So here goes. Going to space for 3 minutes makes you an astronaut in the same way I'm a gynecologist. Nothing says thriving economy like more than 60% of Coachella attendees having to finance their tickets. Communism has a lot of problems, but these two right here are the biggest. Always make sure your trimmer is fully charged before manscaping, or the results could be catastrophic. And yes, it is okay to tell your friends this is Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. But the most important piece of advice I can give you, just make sure you find someone who loves you as much as Democrats love MS-13 terrorists. Check this out from Ripple. RLUSD is now integrated into Ripple payments, enabling real-time cross-border payments backed by institutional-grade compliance, transparency, and trust. And this post was pretty timely considering we also just heard this from Jerome Powell.
Inflation is like your wife's boyfriend, no matter what. It won't go down on you enough in the long run.
Sorry, wrong clip.
We worked with Congress to try to get a framework, a legal framework for stable coins, which would have been a nice place to start. We were not successful. I think that the climate is changing and you're moving into sort of more mainstreaming of that whole sector. So Congress is again looking at, both the Senate and the House are looking at a framework, a legal framework for stable coins. You know, depending on what's in it, that's a good idea. We need that. There isn't one now. And stable coins are a digital product that could actually have fairly wide appeal and should contain consumer protections of the typical sorts and transparency. And that's what the Senate and the House are working on. So that's a positive thing.
Donnie, your thoughts on Uncle Jerome?
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Take a look at this. Polkadot, which is by far the most underrated blockchain in all of crypto, has burned 167,941 DOT, which is the equivalent to close to $622,000 as part of its monthly 1% treasury burn. And Polkadot is also the most secure blockchain in existence according to the Nakamoto coefficient. If we take a look at this from Ali Charts, whales have sold over 370 million XRP since the start of the month. But chartist Bobby A tells us, once XRP flips ETH, the flippening narrative, coupled with the incoming ETF approval season, this will be what XRP needs to shoot up to that $8 to $13 price point. And with so many differing opinions, this may be the only advice worth paying attention to.
As my mother used to preach to me when I was merely a baby suckling at her tit, fuck your puts, fuck your cuts, fuck your calls. J. Powell will have you by the balls. What a visionary.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other top headlines.
Income tax?
You know, you're the only one that's asked me that. Oh, I deal with all these big financial geniuses. Nobody ever. There is a chance that the money from tariffs could be so great that it would replace.
Bernie Sanders claims that his supporters are making Trump and Musk nervous. Well, obviously, Bernie, as most of them are domestic terrorists. Criminal charges brought against New York Attorney General over real estate fraud accusation.
No one is above the law. Gotcha, bitch!
I guess the only thing left to say is, bye, Letitia. Senator Byron Donalds of Florida is proposing to eliminate the accreditor-vestor rule, which stops Americans with less than $1 million in net worth or less than $200K in annual income from getting in on the ground floor of investments. Steve Witkoff, on his recent trip to meet Vlad Putin,
I believe there's a possibility to reshape the Russian-United States relationship through some very compelling commercial opportunities that I think give real stability to the region too. Partnerships create stability.
Netflix just released the poster for their upcoming Elon Musk documentary. According to the New York Times, more than 21,000 IRS agents have reportedly accepted the Trump administration's recent offer to resign. This is what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan.
This empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. From James Filan, regarding the SEC versus Ripple, the parties' joint motion to hold the appeal in abeyance has been granted. The SEC is directed to file a status report within 60 days of this order. President Incompetence made his first public speech since leaving office, and this wasn't the worst part.
And I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time and I was only going in 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
He went on to say,
it's Hill turning 4 years old anyway.
And for those of you wondering, thermal imaging confirms,
it's Hill turning 4 years old anyway.
I tell you, this guy could fuck up a wet dream. But at least it's good to see that Joe has landed this diaper sponsorship. All right, let's take a look at some target price levels for XRP and Bitcoin. The 2-week chart shows some strong buying pressure, as you can see this long week on the 2-week candle. It's not a true dragonfly doji, but it is very close. And we also still have this hidden bullish divergence on the 2-week chart, as XRP closed on Sunday above the $2.09 level. On the daily chart, we have updated fib extension levels, assuming that the end of the retracement is in. Obviously, if XRP does head lower, these levels will change. On the daily chart, we have a potential hidden bearish divergence comparing SRSI and price. If the price of XRP can close above the $2.55 level on the daily close, this would negate the divergence. And you could start to look at these fib extension levels for the next possible take profit zone, with the 1.0 fib extension level here at $4.47. One thing to keep an eye on is the daily RSI. We have broken this 5-month trend line. If we stay above this trend line, it's just added confirmation that the local bottom is in. And if we take a look over here at Bitcoin, the current weekly candle has created a bullish engulfing candle, which usually breaks to the upside. However, we still need to pay attention to the stochastic RSI and this 20 level. As we have talked about, if both lines can cross and stay above the 20 level for a couple of weekly closes, then you should expect a massive move for BTC as well as altcoins. Staying below 20 will continue to add bearish momentum until the SRSI is confirmed above. You should also be watching this 21-week simple moving average, which is right here around 93,000-ish, which is this blue line, and also the top of this descending broadening wedge, which is currently around the 98,000-ish level. The RSI is also still creating a hidden bullish divergence, which may be able to play out if the SRSI is able to get that bullish momentum. So you know I'll be watching, and I'll keep you updated with any new information. For anyone wondering how President Trump has so much energy at 78 years old, the key is obviously to stay hydrated. Let me apologize in advance, but for obvious reasons, I won't be putting out videos on June 9th and 10th. If you are reading the libtarded comments below and wondering how people could be so stupid, remember, this is who you are dealing with on the other side. And this is how you can recognize them out on the road. We must stand up for what is right and ignore what is wrong.
I am offended that our children are not receiving affordable gender reassignment surgery along with hormone blockers.
And if you have a couple more minutes, you may also like this video right here. How many XRP do you really need to become rich? Until the next time, be safe.